What up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Matt Wyatt. So I recently checked out the Netflix film called Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire, that's directed by Zack Snyder himself. And I was very hyped for Rebel Moon when I heard the announcement that he was going to direct a sci-fi fantasy film that was going to be their version of Star Wars and a little bit of a Seven Samurai to it. And I saw the trailers and I was so intrigued. And I'm someone is a big Zack Snyder fan. I loved mostly all of his movies. I've only disliked a couple of his movies, like Sucker Punch was my least favorite of his movies, and Army of the Dead, which I there was some good stuff that I liked about the movie, but it was just a average film action flick horror movie that is completely forgettable in a movie that I will never watch again. It was one of my least of his favorite movies, and I'm someone is a big fan of his movies when it comes to DC. I'm someone will be the biggest defender of Man of Steel. I really liked Batman v Superman, the ultimate 3-hour cut. I actually thought it was good. Not as good as Man of Steel, but I still enjoyed it for what it was. And I love Zack Snyder's Justice League, the Snyder cut that we've waited years and years to see this movie come to fruition, and it lived up to my expectations. And I don't care what anybody else says. I thought Man of Steel was a better movie than what people remembered, and it was a movie that came out 10 years ago. I think this is the best Superman movie, and it's the most underrated comic book film. And I loved his take on Watchmen. I love the 3-hour director's cut. I thought it was so much better than the theatrical version. Then I loved his movie 300, which I thought it slaps. So Rebel Moon is supposed to be about this a peaceful settlement of living on the distant moon until they find themselves threatened by the armies of the tyrannical ruling forces, and the mysterious stranger played by Sophia Boutella, who had lived amongst the villagers for a while, is now their last hope in protecting their home. So she goes on a mission to recruit each individual warriors with a unique set of skills. Now, I've seen the synopsis from Battle Beyond the Stars, and from what I've heard, that they said that this movie was a ripoff from Battle Beyond the Stars, and seeing the synopsis comparing the two, I do agree. And I haven't seen Battle Beyond the Stars, so take that with a giant grain of salt. I will get around to watching it and try to make a comparison between the two. So after watching this movie, I'm gonna not lie to you. As someone who's a big Zack Snyder fan, this movie was so underwhelming, and it's a big disjointed mess of a movie. And I did not want to watch it because from what Zack Snyder had said, that's not his real cut of the film. His 4-hour cut of the movie is more R-rated, very bonkers and very goofy. And it was the vision that he wanted to show to us until Netflix told him that he had to make a PG-13 version and cut down 4 hours of that movie. So whenever we'll get the 4-hour cut, we'll wait and see, because it'll probably won't be for a while, and this is supposed to be part one of part two. So this is the first half of the film. And to be honest with you, I thought some of the dialogue felt very poorly handled. It felt like an AI had wrote this dialogue together, and the story stuff was not very well structured. Every time we see Sophia Mattel's character recruiting each individual fighters who wanted to come and recruit and save their home from the tyrannical ruler of army, which is their version of their own empire from Star Wars, you don't really get enough depth with these characters. They felt very underwritten. Every time they recruit to the next person, they get thrown into the background. And their story seems very interesting, but they never really explored enough with this character. We don't get enough time with them. The chemistry with the crew felt very underwhelming and felt very dry. I never felt any of it. And until you get to the third act finale, it was so unsatisfying and very anticlimactic, and you don't really care about them. I love Sophia Boutella as an actress. I loved her in the movie called The Kingsman: The Secret Service. I loved her in the role in Star Trek Beyond that came out, I believe it came out like in 2016. I thought she was fantastic in the role, but I'm not gonna lie to you. She's supposed to be the leading character of this whole film, and I'm not gonna lie, she could not carry the movie on her own shoulder. I mean, as much good of an actress she really is, but she couldn't carry it, and I just feel like she got miscast. And I don't think she was bad. I just didn't like how she was handled and how she was used. The direction felt very poor. You had this great concept that it looked like it could have been something interesting, even though it's not fully original. It looked, because he took a lot of influences from Battle Beyond the Stars, Seven Samurai, and Star Wars, and try to cram it into one movie and try to put a spin on his own. but it just did not execute well. The robot character played by Anthony Hopkins, who was the narrator, and he played the robot character, and you see a lot of him in the trailers, but he's only in there for 5 minutes. And his story was far more interesting than these main characters that we're following in this journey. I mean, Jamon Hansu, he had an interesting background, but you don't really spend enough time with him, and he was thrown to the side for the majority of the film. And by the time you get to the third act, he make this great Braveheart speech that was so stupid, and no one talks like that. Like, it was so poorly executed. And I love Charlie Hunnam in Sons of Anarchy, who's playing a thief, a scoundrel who is essentially a ripoff from Han Solo. He was starting to get interesting, but by the time that they used him towards the end was so stupid and it didn't really make any sense to me. It was just poorly executed, in my opinion. The villains in this movie, who are the tyrannical army, their own empire, they had no nuances whatsoever. There's no purpose to their character. They're just ruling a bunch of pieces of shit. They're so there's no nuance to them. There's no redeemable qualities to them. They're just straight up evil, looking to take whatever they want to have on their planet, on each of others people's planet, and that's about it. And for those of you who are wondering of how Ray Fisher, the man who played Cyborg in Zack Snyder's Justice League, which I thought he was fantastic in that film, and I thought he got mistreated from during the making of Justice League when we saw the Whedon cut, but seeing the Snyder cut, he was the heart of the film, and we were all looking forward to seeing his return and working with Zack Snyder again. He's literally in the movie for 5 minutes. A character that's playing a guy who is a liberator. They wasted his character so quickly, and it doesn't give us enough time to spend time with this character. I understand he's not going to be in the film much, but give us enough time with him to make us feel invested. And it was so poorly handled. It was like, why did you put Ray Fish in the movie? Now, look, maybe when we see the 4 hour cut of the film, maybe he gets fleshed out more. And I saw the trailer for part two, and it looked like they're adding more depth to Ray Fisher's character. I don't know if that would happen, but I could be wrong. Overall, this is one of the most below average sci-fi fantasy films, and I hope that the 4 hour cut that we will get for the R-rated version will be better. At least I'm hoping that it will. I don't know if it will be for better or for worse, but he has a track record for putting out a director's cut that are far more superior. And I was always wondering, why did Netflix let him give us the real version that he wanted us to see? I mean, it's only going to be out on streaming on Netflix. It's not coming out in the cinema, and people don't have to sit there for 4 hours. It's going to be on streaming, and you have more control of it and pause it whenever you feel like it. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. My biggest worry from the director's cut, I feel like that they split this into two movies, from part one to part two, that we're going to get very soon in April. And I've seen the trailers, and some of the footage was used in that trailer for part one. If you look back and pay attention and do a comparison, they were very similar. And a lot of the scenes that we thought that were going to be in part one was not in part one. So my feeling, and I could be wrong, and I hope I am wrong, I feel like that they're going to take part one and two and just merge together as one film, and that's the 4 hour cut of Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon. I hope I'm wrong. For the love of God, I hope I'm wrong about this. But overall, I don't think it's a movie that you should rush to watch right away. It's a movie that I watched once and I probably will never watch again. They had such a great potential, but it just felt like it was a waste. And I love Zack Snyder. I think he's a good filmmaker and a good visual storyteller. But this is another movie that was just a bad day at the office for Zack, and I feel bad. But hey, every director can have a bad day at the office. It happens all the time. Not every movie they make are going to be perfection. That's just the way it is. Now, for some of you that have seen Rebel Moon, what did you think of Rebel Moon? Do you agree with me or do you disagree with me? Look, just because I dislike this movie, that doesn't mean that you're not going to like it. I've seen some people that who are fans of Zack Snyder really love the film. I don't know why. I think I fully disagree, but you know what? Every art hits people differently, and if you loved it, I'm glad that you loved it. I wish I had, because I love Zack Snyder, but this is one of those movies that I was not very satisfied with it at all. And leave me your thoughts in the comment section below. And thank you so much for watching my video. If you like this review, make sure you hit a like and subscribe to my channel for more videos. I appreciate you guys' support. Thank you so much for helping me like grow my channel. I will continue to grow and do the best I can to make the best videos as I possibly can. I hope you guys have a great day, great evening, and a great holiday, a great happy new year. I hope you guys stay safe out there and take care.